Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're looking at something that literally dictates the movement of billions of dollars across the global economy. Yet it happens completely out of sight, quietly out on the decks of massive oil tankers. We're talking about liquid cargo ullage calculations. Now, I know it sounds a bit technical, but the stakes here are absolutely massive. We're going to look at the exact rigorous pipeline used to turn a very simple physical observation into a highly precise commercial weight.
Okay, let's dive into this. Just think about the immense difficulty of the task at hand for a second. How do you accurately measure and weigh millions of gallons of liquid cargo when it's sitting inside a giant metal container that's constantly moving, tilting in the water, and experiencing wild temperature fluctuations? I mean, you can't exactly just plop a massive cargo ship onto a giant scale, right? You have to measure the liquid inside the tanks with extreme precision, which is exactly where the Ullage Calculation Pipeline comes in.
So here is our roadmap for today. First, what is ullage? Second, gathering the physical data. Third, the calculation pipeline. Fourth, standardizing the numbers. And fifth, achieving absolute precision.
What is ullage? Defining the baseline.
This is an absolutely crucial concept to grasp right out of the gate. When we measure ullage, we are not actually measuring the liquid itself. We're measuring the empty space inside the tank. It's simply the vertical distance measured from a specific reference point at the top of the tank straight down to where the surface of the liquid actually begins.
And this brilliantly illustrates why this method is preferred on tankers. You might be wondering, well, why not just measure the depth of the liquid directly? That's called a sounding, which is measuring from the bottom up. But look at the comparison we have here. With ullage, because you're only measuring the empty space from the top down, the measuring tape barely even enters the liquid. This means there's far less risk of contaminating the cargo, and critically, it drastically limits the crew's exposure to toxic or flammable vapors. It's just a far safer bet for volatile liquid cargo.
The relationship between the two is super simple. The total height of the tank equals the ullage plus the sounding. Now, it's really important to note here that every tank has a designated certified reference point, something like a vapor lock valve or an ullage hatch that you absolutely must measure from. You can't just pick random locations to measure from, because the entire mathematical pipeline relies on that exact certified height.
Part 2. Gathering the physical data. The hands-on phase.
To actually do this job, officers use specialized equipment. The universal standard out on the water is the calibrated UTI tape, which stands for ullage, temperature, and interface. There are also manual tapes, portable electronic gauges like MMCs, and automatic fixed systems that use radar or floats. But before any of these tools are even touched, the vessel has to be kept as perfectly steady as possible. The crew has to carefully record the ship's drafts, forward, aft, and midships, as well as any port or starboard list, because the physical orientation of the ship will heavily impact the readings we get.
Let's walk through a day in the life of taking these measurements. First up, it's safety above all else. Wear your PPE and check for toxic or flammable gases. The hatch is opened very carefully to manage any pressure buildup. Then, the UTI tape is lowered down slowly until the sensor just touches the liquid surface. Boom! That gives us our observed ullage, our empty space. Next, the tape is lowered further down into the liquid to take temperatures at 3 specific levels, top, middle, and bottom, so we can get a weighted average. Finally, the tape goes to the very bottom to measure the interface. This step detects if there's any free water resting underneath the oil.
Part 3, the calculation pipeline, the mathematical gauntlet. Let's move to and see how this builds.
This 6-step pipeline is our mathematical anchor. It operates on a strict cascading logic, which means each output becomes the vital, mandatory input for the very next step. If you make a tiny mistake in step 1, it ripples all the way down and ruins your final weight.
Step 1 is correcting the ullage. Remember how we recorded the ship's drafts and list earlier? Well, ships are almost never perfectly upright. They tilt forward or backward, which we call trim, and they roll side to side, which is list. When the ship tilts, the liquid inside the tank shifts relative to our reference point. So we have to mathematically correct our raw observed ullage by applying corrections found in the vessel's specific calibration tables to get our true corrected ullage.
On to step 2. Once we have that corrected ullage, we consult the tank's specific calibration table. This table essentially converts that vertical distance measurement into a precise physical volume, usually in cubic meters or barrels. Now, if your exact measurement happens to fall somewhere between two numbers on the table, you have to use linear interpolation to pinpoint the exact volume. The result here is your total observed volume, or TOV. Basically, this is the gross volume of everything inside that tank. the oil, the water, and any sediment, all combined. For step 3, we need to get rid of the water. We use that interface measurement we took all the way at the bottom of the tank and convert that depth into a volume of water, using those same calibration tables. Then, we deduct that free water volume from our total observed volume. The result? The gross observed volume, or GOV. We've now successfully isolated just the volume of the oil at its current real-world temperature.
Part 4. Standardizing the numbers. Accounting for temperature.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we handle temperature. Because oil expands when it's heated and contracts when it's cooled, a volume measurement on its own is entirely useless for commercial billing if you don't standardize it. That is where the international ASTM petroleum measurement tables come in. They act as the ultimate industry cheat sheets for standardizing cargo. Depending on your cargo type and your inputs, you look up the correct factor. Table 53 gives you standard density, Table 54 gives you the volume correction factor, and Table 56 gives you the weight conversion factor.
Let's look at exactly how we use Table 54. Step 4 is finding the gross standard volume, or GSV. We take the gross observed volume of the oil we found a minute ago, and we multiply it by the volume correction factor, the VCF, pulled straight from the ASTM tables. Applying this VCF mathematically shrinks or expands our observed volume to match what it would be under standard conditions.
And what exactly are those standard conditions? Well, the universally accepted standard temperature for all this math is exactly 15 degrees Celsius or 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Standardizing the volume to this specific temperature ensures that millions of dollars of cargo can be billed accurately and fairly, regardless of whether that oil was loaded in the freezing Arctic, where it contracted, or the sweltering Middle East, where it expanded.
Step 5 brings us to the final triumphant equation. We take that standardized volume, the GSV, and we multiply it by the weight conversion factor, or WCF, derived from ASTM Table 56. This finally converts our standardized volume into a physical weight, metric tons. And just a quick note for step 6, to find the exact cargo transferred, you'd run this exact same pipeline for any quantities already on board before loading or remaining on board after discharge and simply subtract the difference.
Part 5. Achieving absolute precision. The real-world stakes.
Here is the stark reality. This massive, elegant, mathematical pipeline is incredibly fragile if the human inputs are flawed. Just look at these common sources of air, measuring from the wrong reference point, a tape that isn't perfectly vertical because it's swinging around or touching a bulkhead, using a damaged take, or honestly, simply writing the number down wrong on a clipboard. A trim reading that's off by just a few centimeters completely distorts the liquid geometry, creating a massive commercial miscalculation. In fact, on a modern supertanker, a measurement error of just 1 single centimeter can easily equal a discrepancy of $10,000 or more worth of cargo. No pressure, right?
So the crucial point is how chief officers actually mitigate these errors out on the water. They measure during calm conditions whenever it's physically possible. They take multiple readings until they are perfectly consistent. They ensure the cargo lines are verified as totally full or totally empty. And one really fascinating technique they use is called temperature soaking. When they lower the UTI tape to get the temperature, they let the sensor sit at the target depth for 30 to 60 seconds. This allows the thermistor to fully adjust to the true temperature of that specific layer, rather than mistakenly reading the temperature of the oil it just rapidly passed through.
We've seen how simple physical observations are transformed through a strict, meticulous pipeline into hyper-accurate metric tons. But I want to leave you with this provocative thought. Even with a perfectly executed mathematical pipeline, the ship's final figure rarely matches the shore terminal's figure exactly. So how do the buyers and sellers actually manage those inevitable discrepancies? How do they apply the vessel experience factor, which is basically a historical track record of a ship's calculation quirks, to settle $1 million difference? The commercial reality of shipping holds fascinating complexities well beyond the physical deck, which definitely leaves us with a lot more to explore next time. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.